That got you more than it got me. I am so sorry. Did not mean to do that. Well, then again, you knew you were in the blast radius. I feel like I should keep that in only because that affected you the most.
Do it. Just do it. You live with my misery.
Anyways, hello. Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 23. Sorry. Now I just got reminded of the since we're behind, there's been a lot of like cultural events that happened. And the Shakira thing, I think I just did that. I because also didn't. Hello, y'all. Welcome to the podcast. We're gonna have a great one today. I hate you so much. Go back to your plan and travel 6,000 miles. God damn. I'm gonna have to edit this. It's gonna be a dial tone. Beep, beep. Back to the show. Hello.
As soon as you start doing that sound, I started searching for it. It's instantly what it reminded me of.
I'm sweating. Should we restart to stop it? I can hear. That's like in my ear.
When she makes a sound, you should edit in like the corners like that.
Stop making wet noises. Was that you?
Okay, please edit this out.
Oh my god, stop.
ASMR.
I'm muting you now. Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 23 of Dubbed and Subbed. This is we're not doing a movie podcast, but although I do want to start before the episode starts in proper. I went to a Violet Evergarden screening.
Did.
I went to see.
How did you like it?
Violet Evergarden, Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll.
Did you cry?
The screening.
No.
So the screening started with the guy saying it's like, oh yeah, like it could be very emotional. There was bits and pieces, but I didn't necessarily have.
So no.
Yeah. Well, let's wait until we actually watch it together, because I don't want to spoil anything too much. But during that screening, I met someone that also does a anime radio show. Yeah, and it's broadcast every Wednesday at 9 p.m. at 22. You can catch the recordings on 22westmedia.com, and all the episodes will be on Mixcloud. And the podcast is called Otaku Hourly.
You have to put the links in the description.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the links in the description below. The guy, the host, Jonathan Beltran, we had an awesome conversation before and after the screening. We had a really deep discussion about anime elitism. So maybe we could spend like a day just talking about that, because that's a very tough. I guess it's a tough topic because I feel like there's a lot of emotions that could come from something like that, and it kind of ranged. It kind of came up because my show is called Dubbed and Subbed, and so I'm in the camp that enjoy whatever you want. Like I grew up with dubs. Subs are also very like some people. I don't know how to.
It just depends on.
Yeah, it's just what preference. I feel like there's traditionalists out there that says subs the way to go, and there's some people that says dubs are also just as good as anything else out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid to look at comments now.
It's okay.
If the comments haven't really started with, why is this meme show starting out weirdly?
It's okay, as the kids say, we've been new. I'm just kidding. We've been new.
Hi, welcome to the show. I hope you stuck with us for 23 episodes because this is what happens.
I don't know how we got here.
Anyway, so back to My Hero Academia, please. Let's go on with the episode. We're gonna be talking about the episode after the unpleasant talk, which is Go, with two exclamation points.
Did you have to be that specific about it?
There's no other way to say it. It's episode
You
70,
can
and it's
say
called
it
Go.
like how it is. Like you just yell out.
Go!
I don't know what's going on today.
I think we're just both very, very loopy. What time do we wake up?
I don't have a watch.
Oh, well, I do. I woke up at like 6.
I woke up at 11.
It's 10 p.m. already. Anyway, so the first episode we're talking about is Go, and it's like a day after they got the news about what is going on, the stakes of what's happening with Erie and the plague doctor dudes. I keep on forgetting the names.
Give us the name. What's the name?
The Yakuza.
The Yakuza. Yeah,
The Yakuza?
yeah, they're a group that's trying to sell like these drugs
The
that could like either take away or enhance quirks.
Yep.
Yeah. And so everybody's just kind of reconvening, like coming back together and talking about their different experiences together.
Mm-hmm.
But later on in the episode, it's I think Deku is still kind of trying to figure out how effective they're going to be in trying to rescue this girl from this Yakuza organization that's trying to basically use her as a way to craft these weapons to get quirks out of people.
Which is kind of tragic, really.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think 100 because we are kind of ahead, but trying to catch up at the same time. And I think the anime is also in their break right now.
Is the anime in their break right now?
I don't remember because
I don't think the arc's over yet, right? It's
Mm,
almost over.
It's almost okay.
I don't think it's over.
It's not yet, but I know that there's going to be a movie out soon. King's Rising, not King's Rising, Heroes Rising.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's coming out in March. That was at the end of the screening. They were like, "Oh, please look out for the email for this next preview
You
showing."
Go?
I got the tickets from my brother, so I don't know. I don't know if my brother's gonna get it, but I hope so because he's not super into My Hero, and if he gets 2 tickets, I'm gonna make sure to get it to you because apparently it's a red carpet premiere. So, anyways, so we cut to like a meeting at lunch, and so Tenya's just trying to reassure Deku that like everything's gonna more or less be all right, you know. I think it's just these characters wanting to reassure each other because this is probably one of the times where these adult heroes are literally asking them to be involved in this kind of actual rescue process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Deku is just kind of like on the fence about it.
Yeah, no, I can
Yeah.
see that. I think part of it's also like there's only like a certain amount of people that are technically doing the internship with the actual heroes. So
Mhm.
like Ida is not. I don't think he's one of them,
Mhm.
right? So I think like for all of the other people who are doing the internships, I think there's like a higher degree of being worried.
Mhm. And that after that, all the characters kind of go get to
Should I scoot closer?
yeah a little bit.
Hello.
Everybody gets to the Night Eye Agency and reveals that that like Yuri's is like in this underground hideout, and kind of the reason why they figure it out is that Sir Night Eye was, I guess, shopping for toys at the time,
That's right. Yeah.
and then got a really, I think, suspicious person was trying to find like a toy, and I think I remember the sub they were saying like he's trying to find he looked like a scientist trying to buy a toy for a girl, and the language behind it was basically he was like what type of toy a girl would want.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the cashier. And Sir Night Eye was all like, this seems like the person.
Taps the shoulder.
Let's move the plot forward so the characters are somehow in the same places at the same time.
But I think
Yeah.
it's already been established that like everyone has been keeping tabs on them. They just haven't done anything.
Yeah, and then he uses his farsight quirk to kind of like follow them, and so we're meeting him in his agency just basically because he has this new information of where's everybody's at.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the episode, we begin the assault onto the compound.
Yep.
And then basically the police are there and everybody's there. The dragon lady's there, but Deku is wondering why Gran Torino's not there. At one point, I think I remember it was something that Gran Torino was busy doing stuff at that was involving the League of Villains.
He was doing something. Probably. I think he was busy.
Yeah,
Which I guess makes sense in this universe. You can't.
all
be
all the main characters can always be contributing to the mainline plot, I guess.
They're always somewhere.
Yeah.
They'll be back.
I always mention Game of Thrones because it's like, even though the plot is moving forward, a lot of characters are doing different things at the same time.
Oh, is it kind of like different stories and then they kind of like all kind of
coincide
into, like, one main thing?
Yeah, one main thing, and this one main thing happens to be like the League of Villains and this whole arc with the Yakuza at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see the Dragon Lady's quirk, which she a big lady.
she a big lady.
She a big lady, and she could
Thick.
turn. Yeah, she could.
Is she not thick?
Yeah, she is.
She thick?
We're not family friendly, are we? I guess not. Yeah.
You
So
know those big anime wings? No?
I'm gonna really edit this video. Not to edit anything we say, just to emphasize points.
Big anime
Big anime wings.
wings.
Wings. Well, I want to talk about wings. Nice, tasty wings. I lost my point.
No, I can't say that.
Let's move on.
Big anime teeth.
Teeth. Yes. And I love how we have a sidecar now. It's only for a month. Enjoy. He's presenting.
Big anime teeth.
So they assault the basically the Overhaul's hideout,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the heroes just basically rush in. So it kind of sets up them going into this space and like really trying to build up this action portion.
I want to think that this episode kind of feels like a filler, kind of, just a little bit.
In what way?
Well,
I feel like the whole Ida thing with them and at the lunchroom, like reaffirming that they can do it, might be redundant. Might be seen as redundant.
I think maybe like it serves to reestablish characters that you haven't seen in a while, but also
That's also true. Yeah.
I think also like you already know it's coming, but they
Yeah.
don't do it like you just jump into it. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
setup versus like, all right, well, it's the day, let's go, and then it just goes into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I like part of me. Oh, I guess I can't say it's a filler because it does have to do with the main story, so it doesn't count as a
And
filler.
it's really kind of moving the plot
Yeah.
forward.
I guess like the best way to put it is I think like this episode compared to the next episode feels a lot slower paced.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe it helps to kind of make it seem like everything in the next episode is a lot.
Well, you do have that like I kind of see your point because at the beginning you do have that like kind of all these characters coming back together. And like you haven't seen these characters in the school because they have all been doing their internship, their work study, their respective work study situations. And even right before that, they were having this meeting of how they were gonna save this little girl, because shit got real. And then I think this is just a just could also mean just showing us that, oh yeah, these characters still exist in the story.
Don't you find it like this is kind of off topic, but don't you find it kind of strange that like for as much as they use her for all of these things, right, the yakuza and whatever, like you still have like people within that group going out to buy her toys.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird sense of like they want to keep her comfortable.
I mean, they're torturing her basically.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
So, like, it just seems slightly strange to me. But I guess I understand the sentiment if you're trying to like make them feel more at ease. Okay, maybe not more at ease is the right term, but like
They're her captive.
Stockholm syndrome? No, that's
No,
Stockholm
that's not
syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Are we looking to our sidecar for help to get us out?
I mean, I think it's just sort of like trying to keep us satisfied and stop complaining as much or something. I don't know.
From getting her to run away. Yeah.
I think the comfortable thing, I think, is mainly it.
Yeah. Because there's no other reason. Like, they could have just, like, put her into a bare room with, like, all there is padding, you know?
No.
You know, so she doesn't, like, off herself. Yeah.
Has it been revealed in the thing of what you're up to who her family is?
Nope.
No, we haven't got to that part yet. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
worry then.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We're
yeah.
at the part where they're about to rush the building.
Yeah. And we figure out a secret about Fat Gum.
Ah.
Yeah, we figured out Fat Gum's secret. Well, I don't think it's the next episode. Yeah, the best secret. Anyways, and unless there's anything else about the episode, I think we could just move on to the next one.
All right.
Yeah, so
My
episode 71 is Suneater of the Big Three.
I love Suneater.
And so this is kind of I would say kind of an origin a little bit. You get Sun you get a lot of action, but it's kind of dispersed between Suneater's kind of background.
It's very much like his how he ended up from point A to point B.
Yeah, like starting out in middle school, meeting I almost said Mineta. What's his name? Mirio.
Your what do you call it? Discount Tintin?
Anime Tintin.
Oh.
He's not discount if he has jacked muscles, all right?
This is a really side note.
Go on.
There is a Twitter account called the headline is basically like pictures that precede a tragic event, and about 2 weeks ago I was looking and I happened to see it, and it was the picture of
Go on.
of Mirio looking at Ari.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I saw it and I was like, oh no.
It's preceding a tragedy.
Yes. Anyway, going back. Sorry.
I like our sidebars.
I'm not fully here.
I really wonder how our intro is going to be edited, because I'm going to have to edit the video.
You should just keep it.
I'm going to keep it. There's going to be a lot of zooms into like eyes where it's just like I have 1,000-yard stare of like, what did I just hear? And then us staring at our sidecar.
You don't have to look at me all.
You're the only other person in this room. Save us. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm just reading the summary real quick. But anyways, the broad strokes of this episode, basically it's whatever is written on the tin. It's Suneater and his kind of origins, how he met Mirio, kind of how that friendship kind of came about. Yeah, go on.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you feel about his backstory as a character?
It seems that he was kind of lost in his kind of path, and I felt like it's that power of his friendship with Mirio that kind of like pulled him forward to, I guess, give himself this sense of purpose. That's what I got out of the episode.
Do you feel like in the scope of like all the other characters in the show, like his backstory is very diversified, or do you think it falls in line with a lot of other characters in the show?
I think it's different in the sense that I think if I remember correctly in the episode, he kind of like he didn't see himself as kind of excelling as a hero, and like, and I think this is like a good kind of like turning of a head of like these origin stories where like most heroes are like I want to do this because there's this like I want to save a lot of people, or they really want to be that hero to be recognized and things like that. And I think this is kind of more of that traditional like hero story that he sees someone that he could aspire to become, and then therefore like he aspires to be like Mirio, because we do see a lot of scenes of like Mirio and Suneater together. Yeah. And we kind of see this fight scene between all of these characters and how much he got, to be fair, kind of like seafood. The tentacles. A lot of tentacles.
It's if you think about it, it's like no, I actually can't say that. Probably shouldn't say that. Well, it's like what 50 Shades of Grey is to
Oh, please, jeez.
No? cut the pod.
I'm so glad every episode I post up, it keeps on reminding me, hey, is this family oriented?
No.
The no button on that option wouldn't be clicked fast enough.
Okay, hold on, wait. I have to at least mention though, like,
go on.
Suneater is like my favorite character in the show. I just make fun of him because
in what way?
He got arms to do moving on.
That ain't it, Chief. That ain't it, Chief.
You can just walk out.
This is in the history of this podcast, might be the most loopiest podcast we ever made.
Just a whole bunch of us on hacks.
We're all like tired or something.
What if his tentacles just like when you hear it just goes
This might be the first episode where the audio is like really good, and now it's just like, okay, we have very good audio. The content itself, I don't know about. Because we got more disciplined with our audio equipment, and I was just like, okay, we're gonna get better audio this time.
But like, jokes aside, though, I actually really like his fight scene.
Yeah, it's a very solid fight scene. You kind of get an idea of how his powers kind of evolve in a sense that let's get back to this episode. We're introduced to him understanding that whatever he eats, he becomes, like his body becomes. If he eats seafood, he's whatever that fish was. So in this case, it's an octopus. But it doesn't have to be limited to just that one creature. It could be a combination of those things. So there's like crab. Like he at one point has claws. And I think at one point his tentacles gets hardened because he's eaten shellfish at one point. And he shoots clams out of his hands too at some point.
I want to say, using this episode as well as like should I talk closer? Using this episode.
Go on.
As a starting point to look and compare back to other episodes, right? Like I think you can very clearly see like the development in characters, if that makes any sense. Like for example, like if you watch like Deku in the first episode, or like not even the first episode, the first season, like that part where they're like tossing the disc or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode?
During the test episodes, right?
Yeah. So like in those episodes, right, and then even in like the next ones to come, a lot of the times when they use whatever quirks that they have, they're very like surface level. Like you know exactly what it does.
Mm-hmm.
But then with like characters like Mirio and Suneater and whatnot, like you know that you can see their surface level quirk, which is like, for example, Mirio's is that he can go through the walls, and then Suneater's is that he can, if he consumes something, he changes his body to it.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see how far they've gotten and how well developed their powers are. Like, for example, like Mirio's, where it's like when he's walking through a wall, he only can make certain parts of his body at like different points in time go through the wall. So that he can still stay solid and on the ground and whatnot. And then if you look at like the actual pro heroes, you can actually see like how they have the foresight to do things. Like that whole thing with what's his name? Oh god, I forgot his name. He's the professor. The professor. What's the professor's name?
Eraserhead, right?
Yes. Okay, him. And he's like he knocks the one guy out. And then they kind of nab him, and then like later on in the episode, you hear Suneater, and he's like, "Oh, he knocked the guy out because he gave me time so I can tie him up before he woke up, but he didn't." Type thing, you know what I mean?
Was that this episode or was that a previous episode?
Did I jump episodes on
I
accident?
think you probably jumped episodes because this is not in this episode.
Cut the VOD.
We're not cutting the VOD. We're not cutting it.
But anyways, I think
this is what happens. We're behind, where we just meld all the episodes kind of together.
Everything just kind of mixes together. There's no... Well, besides the point, what I'm trying to get at is that...
Each character kind of develops in their own way and comes to their own.
You can see the difference in who's very new and who's very, like, far down the line in their development process, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah, I kind of feel that with Kirishima and, like, how he's getting... not too much spoilers to the next episode, but like how he's developing.
It already happened.
I know it's already happened.
I did one already. You might as well keep the train going.
Before this episode, we get an idea of how strong his quirk is and how much he's been developing. Before this next episode,
which
we'll talk about more next time. But to your point, it's like they're all constantly evolving, and they're being very diligent students. They're actually putting the work in improving. Yeah. Okay, but even with characters like Mineta.
We'll go back to the episode.
Yeah. I think that was a good conversation though to have, because because we've only kind of really like surface level know about Suneater. And this shows us his capability within fighting an actual villain kind of like situation.
I think this very much, to me at least, solidifies his place as like why he's there.
Yeah.
But if I had one critique, I would want to know more about the third character.
Yeah, the female character, right?
I forgot her name.
Sidecar, can you help us?
She is...
I feel like I
I forgot. Anyways, given the opportunity, if I could learn more about her and why she's...
Najire.
Yeah. If I could get more information...
And what's her quirk, by the way? Okay. I love having a sidecar.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just use them for Google.
Keep talking. I need to find it.
Oh yeah, okay. So
I would like to know why she's Sansa, because I think this episode very clearly defines why he's there, where he is, and like I think it's kind of it's nice to see how much he looks up to Mirio.
Yeah.
And also you kind of, I think
that shared history between them, and
I mean, and even that through the characterization of him looking up to Mirio, you kind of understand why Mirio is at the top and why oh god.
It says she converts her vitality into energy that she discharges as like golden spirals.
That's kind of cute.
Spirals. Okay.
She's cute and quirky and not like the other girls.
You've used that jerk like 3 times today.
Don't call me out on that.
This is the first time I'm hearing it.
Cute and quirky and not like the other girls. Ooh woo. Damn right, man. Fist pump. Yeah. But
okay.
but going back,
Yeah.
I think it very clearly shows why Night Eye wants Mirio to be All Might's successor.
Yeah.
Because of how many people look or like
already at this point look up to Mirio, and there's already like he's worked up with his quirks and everything already.
Like to me at least, part of it like at the surface level is like a backstory to Suneater, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the subtext of it is that like Mirio is a very commendable person. He's been very commendable since he was like a kid, and it led him to the point that it put Suneater to where he is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like as much as it is a backstory about Suneater, it's also a narrative on who Mirio is as a character.
Yeah.
Which sets up for a lot of stuff.
I really hope at the beginning of the season nobody's gonna kick the bucket, but I feel that there's gonna be a lot of close calls coming up.
Who do you feel like is going to die?
All Might has to die.
He's not even in this.
I know he's really not in this story for as far as we know. Anyways, let's just kind of finish this out because I feel like we're getting way too loopy for our own good.
Yeah.
Anyways, so as I mentioned before, just a quick shout out again for another anime creator. Insert here. Jonathan Beltran on the Otaku Hourly on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. You could catch them at their website at 22westmedia.com, and all episodes would be put on Mixcloud. Links will be down below. We're gonna do another anime podcast soon. We're also gonna do a kind of special Brian Kim episode. If you remember, I did a Brian Kim show. I did a podcast with Vincent, and we have a guest that traveled all halfway across the world, and he has a very compelling story. Don't force him, not yet. I gotta produce the episode.
Is it a surprise?
Yeah, sure, why not? It's a surprise.
I can't say that. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Do you try to say us? Wait, what were we trying to say? Okay, never mind. I don't want to know. You can just tell me later. Okay. Anyway, so please, if you like what we do, please subscribe, support us in any way, shape, and form. And we hope to see you in the next anime podcast.
Yes.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the days where we had maps in the car.
I remember having maps in my car. I have an old atlas from like 1994.
I don't even have a map in my car.
I was just like, this is probably good for LA, but not good for anywhere else.
I just